I welcome everyone who have joined us today for this discussion. And before diving into our discussion today, I would like to talk about living consciously. And it's a foundation, and we are working in the domain of spiritual, personal growth opportunities, emotional health care, and through our different programs that we are running currently, we want everyone to have an access to transformational tools that can help us to live our lives consciously. And so why we are doing this live today? We are doing this live today to understand about our 2-day spiritual foundation camp. This time we are going offline, and I'm very excited for that. And we are doing it on 11th and 12th December. To discuss about the camp, we have today with us a very special guest. Uh, I believe that a man who walks the talk, Hasnain Warisji. Thank you so much, Hasnain ji, for joining us today.
Welcome,
Uh,
Shalu.
Yes. So, before diving into the discussion, I would request you, Hasnanji, to talk a little bit about your journey and what you do and how about your initiative, New Age Sufis, and how you've started it.
Okay. Hello, friends. My name is Hasnain Waris, and I'm you can say, advertising person turned spiritual now, half-time spiritual to be precise. Half day, I still work and consult different projects, including few NGOs in their communication space. So that's my long story cut short. Coming to my spiritual side, that started, I think, the moment my mother put me in lap of a Sufi, Hazrat Roshan Shah, who is my mentor, my guru, my sheikh, and my real love, you can say. And rest, as they say, is something that cannot be expressed in words. So one of my friend remarked when I took my U-turn after seeing my high point in Mudra, Mumbai. The year was 2011, and he said that okay, now you have decided to follow your heart. So I said no. Maybe I have stopped resisting it now. So all that while in my 10 years or 15 years of advertising journey, I was resisting something within me, resisting something which was very, very natural for me. It was like a bird resisting to fly, and you can imagine the pain. So it was not only that, yes, spirituality does require, as Shalu mentioned, walking the talk. It is about experiencing something, not knowing something in a scholarly manner. So I'm not a lecturer, so I had to wait till the time I could implement it in my own life, and then share that beauty with others. So your words get a certain degree of conviction the moment you have traveled that path. So I don't promise any nirvana in 2 days, but I feel that most of the people who are in spiritual journey, including Sufi modality, suffer from a lot of beliefs and preconceptions about or prejudices about different modalities. And most of the time, these are nothing but blemishes of your own ego, which is too ambitious, which wants to learn the third lesson before completing the first one. So that's why I very strategically call my sessions, my workshops, spiritual foundation camps. It is a kindergarten, you can say, for somebody who is a seeker and struggling. Because I found that it is no point sitting in a master's class without completing your primary or secondary level education. It's just meaningless. So most of the rituals, irrespective of Sufi modality, all the rituals by the spiritual, people, given by the spiritual people, are actually very beautiful tools, but you have to see whether they make sense to you or not. So New Age Sufis is an attempt to put together the thousands of years of Sufi wisdom, the wisdom of Kabir, wisdom of Rumi, Baba Bulle Shah, and many other saints, and try to present it to the current audience in a relatable, implementable manner. So, if you ask me, there is something unique about New Age Sufis. It will be the immersive learning techniques, and uh, it's an attempt to fetch Sufism to a seeker in a workshop instead of putting him through an ashram mode. So that's the difference, if at all I can point out any difference.
Okay. So this pops up another question in my mind, Hasnainji. So there are many popular beliefs, as you always talk about, and there are myths and misconception around Sufism. So when the word Sufism comes in our mind, we often associate it with whirling dervishes and, Kawali for that matter. So there is a fixed orientation that people usually have around Sufism. How can we understand Sufism in a modern day context? If you can walk us through that.
Okay. Uh, See, Shalu, if I can give you a crude example or analogy, how many of us remember that cream biscuits? And what do the kids do? They just open them up, lick the cream, and throw the rest of the thing. But actually, and the same thing we do even as a grown up, as a seeker. We try to lick the more interesting portion of the biscuit, and throw the rest of it. So this is what I see happening when it comes to Sufism also. So people think it is something mushy, something entertaining. If I find few rituals, then everything else will be taken care of. You may get charged emotionally for a moment, but there is nothing beyond it. If if you are not prepared for it, and if at all there is any work to be done, which is preliminary in nature, it is purging your own ego. Until you address this, nothing else works on you. Maybe it's a waste of effort, time, and energy. So what Kabir says, getting nirmal, or Sufis in Middle East call it tazkiya nafs. So forget doing something about the ego or the fake self. People are not even acknowledging it. I see so many spiritual modalities not even acknowledging it. Forget doing something about it. So this is the primary space, and maybe it is a differentiator that I treat, that I teach nothing but how to see your ego, how to see your own ugliness, and work upon this enemy within. So yeah, so that's how I put it, because people tend to think that something will work for me if I go to a dargah. Of course, they were such exemplary people, and the energy and the ambience is still transforming, but it is supposed to transform you into a better human being, and not serve like places which are entertainment, or fixing your mannat and all that. Of course, that is part of the grace that these places represent, but there is much more about it, and that is to help you become better human beings. And that's what the values of these saints who lie there in these graves and still inspire so many people across the world.
Wow. That's how now I relate with Sufism. Before, also a few years back, I also had these misconceptions around Sufism, who is a Sufi, and I think you have really helped us to understand the, true meaning of being a Sufi. And so, also, Hasnainji, there are this will take me to my next question. There are a lot of misconceptions also around spirituality. we immediately, think of spirituality as someone, a smiling Buddha sitting in some secluded mountain, or or there is a, a woman meditator, sitting in fields of flower. So we often as a synonymous to religion or escapism. And so, can you help us to understand these misconceptions? Like, can we live spiritually fulfilling life amidst this world, these busy lives that we have? Or do we need to go to a secluded place to understand spirituality?
Uh, okay. So, Shalu, if you ask for my opinion, I would say that um, trying to separate spirituality and materialism, or your material self and spiritual self, is uh, is a lost battle, because you will remain material with your material tendencies. You will feel hungry. You will feel uh, urge to to associate with your fellow human beings and help others and all that. So the material hating materialism doesn't make you more spiritual, if that's a better way to put it. And most of the people think that anti-materialism means spiritualism. No, you will remain material. Yes, you can channelize it. You can regulate your material needs so that they don't go off balance, like the world is trying to live right now. We are like maybe little too material focused now. So there were times when people were uh, living a very balanced life, if at all there were any good times for spiritual growth. But we know in past we have seen such exemplars who have left good examples of how to live in a balance. So society at large needs to strike that balance. Yes, once you have done too much of materialism, and to realize what is your that balancing point, you may need to take a break, like Buddha took, or Prophet Muhammad took, and almost all the people, like from Navarna Maharishi to Kabir to anybody, if you see, goes for that purging, goes for that internalization, the journey within, before they come out with some gems for the world to share. So I think yes, those breaks do help you, because in this cycle of office to home and living from weekend to weekend, doesn't give you that luxury of analyzing your own self. Like, am I overdoing something? What is wrong with me? Why am I not at my balanced best? Am I doing something which is sabotaging my own growth as an individual, as a human being? So all that requires some internalization.
Yes. Uh, I totally agree with you here, and thank you so much for dispelling, these misconceptions and misbeliefs that we have around spirituality. And also, that will take me to another very strong predominant belief that we have in our society, and I have often faced that personally. So we have this belief, that people, like, who, like old people who have retired from their worldly roles, and there is also this saying that old age is the right age for spirituality, and it is an age when one is comparatively free from worldly responsibility. And that will take me to about our program, like, who can join this program? Like everyone, from people from all age group. And although you have answered it many times, when is the right age to start, to start your spiritual journey? And so help us with that.
Okay. So Shalu, if you ask me, and if I quote, if you give me the chance, like liberty to quote Maharshi Yoganand, I think in his autobiography of a yogi, I think he writes, uh, if at all you should haste in doing something, it is to seek your spiritual self. Sooner the better is the word, because then you have rest of your life to live. If you have lived miserably throughout your life, now that you are retired and you think you have luxury of time at your disposal, and you think you will, uh, you know, you'll find something in these scriptures and meditation and all. Of course, it will help you, but for how long? And when will you implement it? Where are the challenges the youngsters or the people who work face? So you have already done the kind of damage you could have done in your active life. So now you are secluded. Of course, you need to, hold on to a bead and save uh, rest of the community from your scathing, uh, tongue, and you live with in your own, beliefs, rigid belief systems, and you struggle with that generation gap with the youngsters. So I think it sooner the better as far as spiritual discovery is concerned, because then you are living with your perfection. And otherwise, what will happen? You will live half perfect, you will struggle, maybe you will get even conditioned, and then you will waste another last 10 years of your retired life struggling with the same mode that you have lived throughout your life, and becomes very challenging. If I can give you an analogy, if a pot, or if a metal vessel, or it's aluminum vessel, is too thin and too worn out, can you polish it into shining? It will break. It will lose its shape. The moment you rub it strongly, it may lose its shape. It becomes very difficult to work with old people with their rigid belief systems. It becomes
Absolutely.
much more difficult. So it is easier to mold youngsters,
Yes.
uh, and if they can take up that challenge, I think rest of their life will be much more beautiful than they can even imagine.
Yes, yes, I completely agree with you, Hasnainji, here, because I started my spiritual journey very early on. Although I'm still learning a lot, and there are a lot of misconception, myths, and myth belief that are dispelling day by day. Uh, Starting early gave me a lot of understanding, a lot of clarity, and to connect with my course self, that I am and what is it that I really want to do. Otherwise, I would have missed discovering the purpose that I have in life, if I have not I was not introduced to spirituality when I was at my younger age, and to look at your conditioning and the belief system and the patterns that we have. So I completely agree with you. The sooner the better.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so this also, now let's talk about our 2 day spiritual foundation camp that we are doing it this time offline. And so, can you uh, can you just help us understand, like, what are participants going to experience from this camp, from this journey, and what they should expect from this experience? What is it that they're going to get?
Okay. So I think I'll be taking them to the very basics of who the humans are. So I keep on repeating this term. The people say that, who am I? So before uh, you delve on to this question, like, who am I think there is a primary question that we should address, is, or understand and reconcile ourselves with the answer, is that, who are humans? What is their potential? What is the beauty they hold? How are they different from other species who are born following the similar birth methodology, or you can say the who are born similarly? So what makes us different? What is our beauty? So I think these are very, very commonsensical questions. So I put together scientific logic to psychological, understanding. We are 21st century people, and we can write all the scriptures on a chip. just see. And there is so much of content all around us. Like, if you are really ready, you may experience a nirvana in a night. There is so much of content online, which was not available earlier. Even if there were big libraries, there were no search engines who could fetch you the keyword which is there in particular book, on a particular shelf, in a particular corner. So you can imagine the kind of technology, the kind of content we have at our disposal today. But what are we doing with it?
Yeah.
Are we putting it into practice? How much of that knowledge is in us? How much of knowledge we are able to implement in our lives? So the problem of youth today is they are trying to replace the experience of sublime with the content and knowledge of sublime. So these are two different things. Reading about Apple, knowing about Apple, watching Apple video, and eating apple are two different things. So God is an experience. And my friend, if we are connected to that experience, we may not be able to spell it out. Forget calling it by a certain name, because you are connecting to that life force which has created you. You may not be able to spell it. You may not be able to, like Kabir says, that it is like gunge ka gud.
Yeah.
That a dumb person eats jaggery or sugar, and poor fellow can't even spell the taste. So God is an experience. It may start with the knowledge bit. All our scriptures are reservoirs of knowledge. All saints' sayings, their couplets, their rubais, their dohas are pointers for us. So it is up to us how we implement that wisdom, that knowledge in our lives and benefit from it. So this 2-day foundation camp will be taking you towards that journey, starting from the very scratch of basic understanding about human behavior, nature, and all. Then we move on to decoding what do the saints mean when they call it love, what that love is. So if I can spell that word for the benefit of the audience, it is love state that they talk about. Okay, how to see truth. We all know that God is truth. It is called Haq and Satya, Sat Sri Akal, Satyamev Jayate, and all. Our scriptures are full of this word. Truth will set you free. I mean, we have been bombarded with this word, which cuts across all the religions and cultures. What does it mean? How to live in truth, which sets you free. What is that freedom Bible is talking about? So I'll be helping you see like the truth. I'll be like helping you see the truth of your own intentions. What is going on? Why you act the way you act in different situations? What's going on in your life? And how much of that is just half asleep mode that we are living? We are not even conscious of that. And who knows it better than you, Shalu, who is latching on to this word called consciously. People are talking about conscious eating, conscious parenting. My friend, once you become conscious, you do everything consciously. You will drive consciously also. So how beautiful it will be that you live in that consciousness, in that aware state. Right now we are awake at the best. We need to be aware. And then we can, if grace is permitting, we may become enlightened beyond that point. So I'll be taking through all that. We'll be talking about Sufi greats, and we'll be talking about how to cleanse your ego. So I have some activities which help people, which help people, diagnose themselves, if that's a better word, and see their own pitfalls and how they are sabotaging their own spiritual growth and they spoil their own case, and how miserably they are treating and suffering, and becoming cause of suffering for people around them. And once you realize that, and then like Kabir says, बुरा जो देखन मैं चला बुरा न मिलया कोई जो दिल खोजा आपना मुझसा बुरा न कोई. So the moment you start focusing on to yourself, you realize, oh my God, I am the worst one in the lot. I am the weakest link, and let me fix myself. So, and that focus on yourself is so liberating. And most of the participants like come back to me, and the kind of feedback they give uh, is very encouraging for me as a practitioner, as a facilitator, and that's what like keeps me going. And let's hope. I wish that my tribe grows beyond a point. But yes, I'm and you know because there are not many people who are giving it the way I'm trying to give, uh, and I try to make it much more relatable to my audience, which is young, which is uh, literate, which knows science. You cannot faff around with them. You cannot put them to rituals which doesn't sound meaningful to them. They question their dada dadi's rituals anyway. So I may not, I don't want to come across like another middle-aged person who is trying to impose his medieval, kind of modality onto themselves. So I try to make it as relatable as possible as a trainer. So that is something which is on cards. Yes, of course, there is storytelling, there is Mullah Nasruddin, there is music, and everything. I try to package it in a way that the person doesn't, lose the track, yet gets the I call it immersive learning. It's a popular term these days. So I do everything to make sense to the person and help them move to the next level of their own spiritual journey. So that's my attempt, and that's what the camp is going to be about.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm personally very excited for the camp because I have attended it twice and it has been a very incredibly powerful experience for me. I looked at my own patterns and the basic work that we often ignore in spiritual domain, that is ego. I have been ignoring it, and it has revealed a lot to me, after this camp. And I can say that yes, I was a different person. I gain a lot of different perspectives about how I can see life, how I can see myself and people around me, and my relationship with others. So it's been an incredibly powerful journey for me personally, and so I think we can wrap it up now, Hasnainji. If you can, yeah. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And for those of you who are interested, kindly go through the program brochure, which is attached in the bio of Living Consciously Instagram page. And you can personally connect with us. We are looking forward to experiencing this with you all. And so do join us for this experience. uh, you will be uh, you will be changed, and you can see the difference. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Shalu, for giving me this opportunity. And it's pleasure.
thank you.
Thank you for watching us. Maybe it will be a recorded thing, and you can watch
Yeah,
us later if you have missed the earlier part.
yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you there in the session.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.